Okay, I'd like to call to order this Town of Cedar Lake Planning Commission work session for June 15th, 2022 at 5:07 p.m. Everyone please stand for the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ashley, roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Here.
Mr. Foreman?
Present.
Mr. Sharp?
Here.
Ms. Sauer is currently absent. Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Kapora?
Present.
Mr. Wilkening?
Here.
Mr. Oliphant?
Here.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Mr. Salatas?
Present.
Ms. Abernathy? Present.
Thank you, Ashley. Item 1, the minutes for May 4th, 2022 work session, May 18th, public meeting, June 1st, special public meeting and work session. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes for those 3 dates?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
A motion by Mr. Kapori. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes. Motion carries. Obviously, if there's no questions, Ashley, you're doing a great job. Thank you.
She is doing a good job.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Item 2, CLBD South LLC final plat for an 18-lot commercial light industrial subdivision. The owner, CLBD South LLC, P.O. Box 488 Dyer. Petitioner's same. Vicinity is 13805 Wicker Avenue, Cedar Lake, 4603. Petitioner's requesting final plat for an 18-lot commercial light industrial subdivision. Good evening.
Good evening, Jack Halls from DBG. Team representing the owner, Andrew is in the room. We are here tonight requesting final plat approval on the Lakeview Business Park. This was in front of you about a year ago. We did a PUD and primary plat at that time. Since then, we have constructed the subdivision. Basically, everything is done except for I think it was the NIPSCO light poles are maybe getting done this week, something along that line, so ready to go. So we are requesting that you approve the final plat tonight, understanding that the town will hold the final plat until the town council approves the ordinance and the final PUD documents. We're assuming that's going to happen next Tuesday. We also request approval of the surety amount this evening. A request in your motion request that you state that the town attorney is authorized to approve the form of surety once it comes in, or the letter of credit, whatever that is. And it's our intent to finalize that surety after this meeting tonight, and so that it can also be on the next week Tuesday's town council agenda. We've been under construction for the last year. We've got a lot of money in the ground at this point.
Lots of money. Got some lots sold?
Did? Good.
Yeah. And so Andrews has some good things coming.
Good.
We just need to get this final plat recorded so we can complete those transactions and get some businesses here in town. So as we're requesting, I'm sure Don's got some review letters and so great.
Mr. Austin, you're good with the sureties that we don't know the amounts of yet?
Couldn't have said it any better than Jack if I were strict.
Really?
And he
He's
was.
getting good, he's getting good.
And I was.
He was.
Okay.
So,
We'll give credit to his credit is due, right?
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
there's been significant dialogue had to get to this point. There's no question about that. The town council will consider on Tuesday night, actually on the utility board agenda, the water agreement, the water transfer agreement. That will tie into the PUD ordinance that I will be bringing with and sitting on my desk. It'll be here by noon on Friday, for distribution to the council. There's a development plan appended to it, that's been checked off. I understand from Don this afternoon, I personally talked to Don about the engineer's comments, and he's cleared it, his letter.
June 10th. June 10th.
The 10th, that identifies that, so the identification of the surety amount really is the major substantive item remaining, aside from the water agreement, which we're still working on.
Okay. I think earlier I spoke, as this was a work session. This is not a work session, it's a public meeting. Don, everything is good there?
Everything is clear.
Everything is good? All the excavating, all the adjacent properties, everything is as designed?
Yep.
Okay.
And the surety amounts would be the maximum reduction to 25%, which is $518,795.46. And then the 3% inspection fee would be $71,801.66.
Okay, anybody write that down, so when they make the motion, they can...
Is the letter in our
Yeah,
packet
so,
now?
I'd like to
Item
discuss,
3 on the iPad agenda. There, it is labeled 2, review letter.
Oh, okay.
To be.
To be or not to be?
yes, so I'd like to have a little bit of a conversation about that letter of credit amount if we could.
You don't agree with it?
Well, no, so the total value, me and Don have worked with that, we agree with that, the $2,075,181.85. What we would ask for consideration, we're not disagreeing actually that's a 25% number is that number. What we're asking for is some consideration that the only remaining item is NIPSCO, and that NIPSCO has already been paid for the infrastructure that they are owed. And we produced receipts for that. So there is really no infrastructure that is unguaranteed. And so we would request that this board consider allowing a 10% reduction, which would match the maintenance bond that we would need to post if this was going into maintenance. Now, we're not starting maintenance yet because the infrastructure is not complete, but we would request that you consider allowing us to go to that. And the difference there on this type of project is pretty substantial. It's 25% is, as you've noted, $518,000, and 10% would be $275 or $207,000. So that's a difference of $300,000 to guarantee light poles, which are already prepaid to NIPSCO. And so that's what we're asking for.
It just so happens that I have some intimate dealings with NIPSCO and a developer regarding a new property. What has NIPSCO given you as a contractual deadline for these light poles?
They are saying that the infrastructure will be put in when they can get delivery of their product.
But you don't have a date.
We do not have a date.
Light poles are up.
The light poles are going up, but there's some other accessories that need to be accompanied that. So we feel that, you know, it's all ready to go.
I guess that's kind of my concern. If you have your hands on the poles and the poles are up, because I see them to be, then the maintenance part of this, Mr. Austin, is a righteous request.
Well, it's a policy call on your part. I spoke to a NIPSCO engineer personally 2 days ago about this exact situation. We're told 4 to 6 months is the guesstimate. It could be more, it could be less, you know, whatever. So I talked with Don about this today. Deviation from your ordinance a lot is yes, 4 to 6 months. Those poles come in, they go up, and we're done. But you can come in and request a reduction.
The hardware is there.
The hardware is there,
the poles are
so
there.
I guess what we're saying is that we understand the issue of the timeline, but even if NIPSCO, there was not a signed agreement and that was not already prepaid, that contract is for $69,000 or $70,000, the total NIPSCO contract?
No, 500.
Oh, 500. So, that's, but he's already paid that. He's got a receipt for that. So he's got significant money already paid to NIPSCO. And then he's got to guarantee it again with you. So we're asking that all the public infrastructure is done. That would not be covered under a prepaid situation. And 10% is what's required by your maintenance ordinance, which we, if NIPSCO was on a regular timeline, they would already be in.
So let me get this clear. So 25% is $518,795.96, whatever. 10% is $207,518.
Yeah.
So petitioner's asking for it to be reduced to the maintenance bond.
Amount, not switch it to maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, to promote businesses, help businesses, and hopefully they can expand elsewhere in our community, I think it's a safe, if they've already paid and that's stated on the record, because with this, we have $1 million projects being held up by literally $3,000 light curtains and cables. It's completely crazy. The supply chain is such a disaster. They might get lucky and they might come in quick and it might be that 6 months. And if you guys can better invest that and help our community in other ways and improving and selling some lots and closing, eventually we get a big return on investment with Morris's valuation, buildings being built, and that's my philosophy on it. So.
Yeah, well, I'm quite familiar with your philosophy. However, we're not talking about supply chain problems, number one. Poles are there, everything's done. Just for the record,
I'm not
you
sure.
have no,
I'm not sure. I
You're
believe
not
Mr.
sure what?
Austin said.
what aren't you sure about?
Mr. Austin just said a minute ago.
Yeah.
That he personally spoke to them and it could be 4 months or 6 months. Is that correct?
Or longer,
Or longer.
longer or shorter, they don't know.
These two gentlemen shook their heads and said twice, the equipment's there, the poles are there, the poles are up. They just have to be hooked up. My question is, so that's not a supply chain problem, that's a NIPSCO getting to it problem.
Oh, really?
No,
So-
it's a NIPSCO conduit issue.
It's a new conduit.
Transformers.
So they gotta get hooked up.
Yeah.
They gotta get,
Regardless, I don't disagree with you about the 10%, but you have an agreement with NIPSCO, and there is not a drop dead date for this to be done?
No.
no, sorry.
Really?
They provided
NIPSCO does not do that.
a letter with no date on it.
NIPSCO does not do that.
Well, NIPSCO does do it because I'm dealing with them right now personally. As a matter of fact, with the other jack. Because
They may or
because-
not get the materials that they actually said they were going to deliver.
Remember, Jerry, when we had those light poles in the middle of 133rd, asphalt all around them, we were waiting on them still?
Yeah.
They're turtles.
Well, that's true, however, that's moving them. My point is, things get done quicker in hopes that NIPSCO will hurry up.
Right.
That's happening right now in Beacon East.
Right.
They're building faster than NIPSCO is obligated to provide services.
Gotcha.
It's a problem, trust me.
Yeah.
Well aware.
Huge problem.
Well aware.
That's why I'm asking, and there was a drop dead date for per address, drop dead date, which I just,
But it's immaterial to NIPSCO. They're drop dead then.
well, yeah. However, I'm not sure what the drop dead date, the collateral damage is. So, but that's it. I think the poles, the hardware being there satisfies my concerns.
Yeah.
And if it's 4 months from now, or 6 months from now, or 16 months from now, we don't have to chase them. The taxpayers aren't obligated to chase them. That's for you guys to chase.
That's the point that I was making, that it's already paid.
Don, do you see any boomerangs with doing something like this?
No, I mean, like John said, your 10% is still just over $200,000. I mean, with the poles not in and some minor, issues with the as-built, the remaining money is well less than that.
Okay, hang on, you just said the pole's not in.
Well,
Well, okay, so there's a time delay here, so you require your submittals on Friday before noon.
Yeah.
The NIPSCO installation began on Monday, so Don was not aware of that when
Okay,
the
so-
letter was written.
But I asked earlier, the poles are there, they're physically there.
They're physically
They're physically there now.
Physically there now.
Okay. All right, does anybody have anything else, on this item? Chris, any thoughts?
No, it's for Jackson, the letters from NIPSCO stating that it was paid, but that they had no time estimated delivery date, so I'm in agreement.
We were lucky we got the poles.
That's a lot of money to give NIPSCO,
Last
no
week,
date,
didn't have
but
polls.
that's your party.
Yeah, that's a party.
Oh, my, oh, my. Okay, so this, the 518 that was being discussed, is now, would be what now?
207, 518, 19.
207, 518?
Yeah,
19.
19.
Well, 518, 19 cents.
518.
If we round it up.
That's fine. Either
That's
way.
the proper math.
We are not gonna quibble about
That's
that.
Hanover
Doesn't
Central.
matter.
So, are you good with those numbers, Mr. Sharp?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Good, because we gotta have an expert in everything up here. Mr. Becker?
Good.
You good? Mr. Capora?
Good.
We have taxpayers have assurances that, we have assurances that the equipment's there.
Yes.
So, okay, would anyone like to make a motion on this item, that reflects the 207, 518, 19?
I'd like to make a motion to final plat for an 18-lot commercial light industrial subdivision, favorable, with the lawyer's office being able to authorize and sign off on the surety of the 10% maintenance, which is 207, 518, 19.
And the 3%.
And the 3% inspection fee.
Okay, Mr. Foreman made a motion, 207, 518, 19, at 3% inspection fee.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
and would you withhold the signature of the instruments pending the public meeting action of the town council Tuesday night?
I would add that to my motion,
Okay.
read into the record.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, John. Mr. Foreman amended his motion. Do we have a second on Mr. Foreman's amended motion?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Becker. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes?
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack.
Appreciate that tonight.
Item 3, Dykstra's first edition, rezone preliminary plat for one-lot subdivision. Owner, R&R Properties, Rich Dykstra, 11003 Lake Central Drive, St. John. Petitioner is the same. Vicinity is 200 feet west of Morse, on the north side of 136 Place, Woodland Shores Addition. Outlots I and J. Petitioner is requesting a rezone from B2 to R2. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ken Peach. I'm working with Mr. Dykstra here for this one-lot subdivision. I owe all of you an apology. We were on the agenda June 1st, and I flat out dropped the ball and forgot. I'm very sorry. I know your time is precious, and please forgive me. It's just one of them things, I just forgot about the meeting. I did stop by this morning. I met with Ashley to give the last of the certified mail receipts, the original, for notice to the neighbors. And while I was in here this morning, she asked me why wasn't I at the meeting, and I was just flabbergasted. I forgot. So she also provided me with a letter dated June 10th from Christopher Burke Engineering with some suggestions in regards to the plat. I believe you all have a copy of that. No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and number 3.
It was in the packet and it's number 3 review letter.
And looking at their suggestions, where they're requesting waivers to be considered in regards to stormwater, park, tree, front sidewalks, and then additional requests for labeling on the plat for section quarter lines, setbacks, drainage easements. All this is very much acceptable to Mr. Dykstra and myself, and I would love to have the surveyor put it on the plat and return it to you. So I would like to ask at this moment if you could approve this, subject to me turning in the plat with these requirements.
I have to ask, no one had all this information last Friday by noon, but it's still on the agenda?
The petitioner had submitted their application in time to be in here, yeah.
Okay.
Chris, you said the petitioner brought his stuff here by then?
Yeah, other than the receipt tab showing that the adjacent property owner letters were sent in.
Gotcha.
Well, I did email them to you, copies.
Yeah, the hard copies were.
And plenty of time, everything was done, I just didn't deliver the originals until this morning.
Yeah.
I knew that you were gonna ask for them, so.
Otherwise, there was no changes to their petition. It's the same information you're seeing, other than Don's letter, the same information you're seeing from the work session.
Okay, Don, you issued this letter a few days ago?
Yeah, and my apologies, I didn't have any of the applicant's email addresses, so I asked staff.
Just like I forgot the meeting, if
Yeah.
I'd had this, I'd had the survey done this and had it with me tonight.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the comments are rather minor. Since it's already two platted outlots, actually, it already has dedicated right away. The recommended waivers are similar to our one-lot subdivisions, residential subdivisions throughout town. And a lot of the comments are ministerial, regarding setbacks, easement locations. There's no large items that would prevent this from moving forward.
Okay, so everything in Mr. Oliphant's letter, you have no issues with?
No, we will have the surveyor provided on the plat. This is what he's requesting.
I would, because this piece of property is similar to another piece of property that's nearby, Don, wasn't there a caveat of some kind regarding stormwater, how should I say, a forensic stormwater review being done?
You are referring,
Similar to the last one in that area. I asked it, I don't know what the language was.
referring to the other outlet I on the west side of the U, we'll call it.
Okay.
West side of 136th Place.
Yeah, what was the language that was added to the property?
That we would review the drainage at building permit level once they submitted a site plan.
Christopher Burke would review.
Yes.
Okay. I would ask that anyone make a motion on this item. We include Don's letter from June 10th, and to include forensic stormwater review at time permit.
Yes, I'm saying.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Becker?
Yeah, I just got the text message earlier today. The house at the bottom of the hill was flooded this last week. And that's before we had another house on it, and driveway, with gutters, and sump pump. So that's a look, and that was the house with all the rocks, where all the water goes to before it goes out to the lake. I mean, until we get a bigger outlet going out to the lake, how can we keep approving these outlets getting built on? I mean, we already know it's already undersized. So if we approve this and they get more flooding, who's legally responsible for it?
It is our opinion that one house would be insignificant, or you can also not opt to waive 1A and have them provide detention on this lot alone. Would be an option.
So.
Well, something needs to be done with this situation, whether it be after the fact or before the fact. that's why I'm trying to,
But that whole subject matter, is that
Like
our,
always,
Jerry, is that a plan commission function, or is this really a storm board function? I know.
well, stormwater function, however, if we're throwing fuel on a fire,
Yeah,
that's not great cohesiveness, so,
I mean, to let everybody know, Mr. Becker's parcel is on stormboard actively right now.
Can I make a comment?
okay, sure.
I'm not the brightest bulb in the world, but I'm pretty sure that when that was designed, they've taken in consideration the development up and down the road for the size of that manhole and the rocks. But sometimes in life, God creates 100-year rain or something that happens very much above and beyond normal storms. And could this possibly have been that type of occurrence?
No, because it happens all the time, can't feel over an inch of rain.
I'm not aware of this.
I'm not sure how often you see 100-year rains, but we see them often. Quite often.
When I was
And it-
growing up, there was a bad rain, and all the farm fields where I lived in Linwood were just completely flooded, and the ditches were coming out of the banks. It was a rare
Linwood and
case.
Lansing is,
It was a
kind of
rare
known for
case.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of big holes in the ground over that way, nobody can see to take care of some of those things. So, Mr. Oliphant had recommended that, the stormwater detention for this property be waived, if that was a big concern.
there's rezone preliminary plat to build a house, right, not a business?
Just a house.
Yeah.
Well, marketable for a house, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We've seen,
Right.
Yeah.
Not at that point.
so, I don't think an extra review of stormwater. I stood there and I've requested such a thing in the past for properties, just for this type of thing. However, if someone was gonna make a motion, I suppose we have to discuss item 1A.
Well, if you,
And the waiver of such.
Mr. Chairman, so the last lot, you're saying the folks did a storm review at the time of permit, right? They agreed to that?
There was some language that Don added to make sure this was looked at in detail.
Are you guys okay with that? Because that wasn't on Don's letter.
I don't think we have any other option, we'll be okay with it.
Yeah.
So if that language is on the property, Don, are we creating shooting ourselves in the foot by granting 1A?
We don't want retention for neighborhoods, that'd be mosquito pits.
It would be
It's not the taxpayer's problem for some of the mosquito pits.
Yeah,
We do have mosquito pits that are the taxpayer's problem, but that's why we're here.
town needs to fix the water issues, whatever that means. That's the right way to do it.
I understand, but as you said, that's not here. That's not now. However,
This
somebody wants to build a house there.
This lot's more indirectly, linked to that stuff than the last one was. The other one drained right to the problem area.
Right.
This one actually drains to another low spot that eventually gets down there. That's also restricted by an 8-inch drain tile. So this kind of has a built-in restriction upstream of the issue. So this one would have a less impact than the last one that was approved. And this is several hundred feet east of where we have the issue. I understand it drains that area, probably 80% of that lot does. But it's much further upstream of it. Now, the county requires for one lot sub to do between cards for every one lot sub. Now, if you want to do that for this one, yeah, I don't recommend approving 1A, and then we'll address the actual, whatever storage they need per ordinance at a building department level, and then come with a site plan.
Okay.
It'll be privately maintained by the homeowner, and, and we already asked for a stormwater easement on the rear, so it'd likely just be larger, because that's where it's gonna go.
In the letter, then,
I'm trying to
Yeah.
make sure that concerns are taken care of, because I don't want to make any problems any worse. and everything runs west, regardless of when and how fast it
Yeah.
gets slowed down.
Yeah.
And, you're right, John, it needs to be taken care of, and it needs to be taken care of yesterday.
Yeah.
So, okay, Mr. Salatas, any thoughts on this item?
The one you have not discussed so far, but has been a revolving conversation at the plan commission level is sidewalks. That, you know, whether or not you're gonna grant the waiver of sidewalks or not.
Okay. I think, we had, discussed off and on,
John's favorite
here, who?
John Kapoor's favorite subject.
Actually, it's Heather's favorite
Yeah.
subject, and I'm disappointed she's not here,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't have to say a word. Even sidewalks that go nowhere are still used.
I mean, this one does abut against the commercial property that in some respects would have to provide it. There's also a long-term plan of putting sidewalk along Morse
Okay, well, then
in
this,
this vicinity,
Not so far in the future.
not so far in the future.
well, then this makes more sense not to waive the sidewalk. How many feet of sidewalk would we be waiving down?
100 feet,
And that's how much foot?
$35,
Oh,
probably even more now,
okay. So the taxpayers would be paying $3,500?
if you extended it there.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for bringing that up. The stormwater thing is, takes up a lot of space. Mr. Kapoor, your thoughts on sidewalks?
Good one.
Okay. All right. Okay, is there anything else on this, waiver list that, anyone's not warm and fuzzy about? Okay. Mr. Roshan?
Legals are in order.
Legals are in order? Okay. All right, what did you call the county's requirement? A rain garden?
That's what it ends up being, whether you want to call it a rain garden or not, it's a small detention basin.
Okay, well, we have to call it something.
They can get kind of creative. I've seen some variations. Shoot Point Blank, for instance, has rain gardens in their parking lot. I'm sure that's a place you find yourself eventually.
We just haven't ran into each other there.
Exactly. But you can get kind of creative with rain gardens. It's an option.
What does the petitioner like, a rain garden or storm review at time of permitting? Is there a preference?
Storm review at the time of permitting.
And
I don't know what a rain garden is, I've never seen
And
one,
that-
and all I know is that this would probably have to be located in the front of the house because of the elevation. The street runs east and west, the lot runs north and south, and as you go north on the lot, it goes up a little bit.
I think we would probably have to see the building plan where the house is going to be located and grading.
Try to capture the
All that
majority of
stuff,
whether
yeah.
it's in the rear or the front.
So review at the time of permitting
Correct.
could be, the requirement could end up being a rain garden.
Yeah, some way to slow the water down.
And for the record, I need to say that so you understand that that's a possibility.
Sure.
Because we can't just keep doing things with the heck with the neighbors and everything else.
No, I understand.
Okay,
I'm confused too. What is a rain garden?
I'm not sure. I think I know, but I'm not
Chris is
sure.
gonna bring us pictures at the next work session. We've never talked about rain gardens here until tonight, so probably bad time to start.
Essentially an
Yeah.
impression that stores and infiltrates.
It has native plantings in there that are known for their absorption and intake of water.
A willow tree, for
Willow
example.
tree.
No, usually smaller grass-type
Yeah.
plantings, sometimes flowers, a garden, not a arboretum.
Okay,
Arborvitae, yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Which is another topic we're gonna discuss before we leave tonight.
Oh, come on.
I asked 2 months ago. Okay.
I don't have anything for it.
What?
What?
Here, sure, I have it. Okay, but
How is that determined where the rain garden goes?
It's, like Chris said, it's gonna be dependent on the site plan. Mr. Peach is correct, that the high point of the property is probably their northeast corner, and it kind of drains southwest right now, but that's all gonna be dependent on how they place their home and how their proposed, grading plan
And if I'm not mistaken, the property directly north of it where the lines butt each other in the backyards, there's already a drainage ditch of some sort back there already.
Okay, that doesn't show up on the contours, but I will believe you. It's kind of a high point right there that sort of crests both ways. So we'll just have to see what their building plan shows. We'll take it from there.
I think what needs to be on here is something that lets the,
I mean, really,
let your owner know that there's a detail here that needs to be reviewed.
you could make it part of the minutes that you're not waiving stormwater detention for this particular lot, and they have to follow requirements in the town stormwater ordinance.
And I'd be comfortable forwarding that to the future buyers, so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll
That's
keep an eye on this on the building
that's
department when it comes through.
Is that the minutes? Will be. Okay. Mr. Becker, any further comments?
No.
Okay. Mr. Kapora?
No.
Mr. Sharp? Mr. Foreman?
No, sir.
Don Olpon? You good?
No, sir.
Okay, I'm good.
Mr. Carnahan.
Mr. Carnahan, sorry over there, incognito, I didn't recognize you. I thought that hat was like a fun park somewhere.
No comment.
Okay, this motion, somebody makes the motion, it's been discussed at 1A,
And 1D,
and 1,
since you're denying the waiver.
yes, 1A and 1D. Yes, sir.
We do need a public hearing.
Yeah, okay, sorry. All right, have a seat real quick. Thank you, Mr. Peach. Does anyone have any remonstrance on this item? This is the property at 11,003, I'm sorry. This is the property 200 feet west of Morris on the north side of 136th Place, Woodland Shores, lots I and J. Any remonstrance for or against this request? Anybody online, Don?
No, sir.
No Zoomers, okay. All right, back up, Mr. Peach, please. Okay, based on all the discussion, would anyone like to make a motion on the item at hand? And to include the waiver denials?
Well, your first one to read them the way it's shown.
Sorry.
Mr.
Oh,
President,
yes, sir, yes.
may I suggest that any motion made, make the plat approval, or the zoning change approval, contingent upon the plat approval. It's all hand in glove.
Zoning approval contingent on plat approval. Okay, I'm sorry. The first request, the petitioner is requesting a rezone from B2 to R1. Anybody have an issue with that? Okay, would anyone like to make a motion?
B2 to R2.
R2, Chair.
Sorry, B2 to R2. I drew through it. B2 to R2. Would anyone like to make a motion for this item?
I'd like to make a motion to allow the rezone from B2 to R2.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
John's motioning to say it's a recommendation to the town.
Recommendation to the town council requesting the rezone from B2 to R2.
Okay, thanks, John, for the amendment. Second by Mr. Kapora. Before we do roll call, Ashley, you got something?
Same as Mr.
Okay, all right. We have a motion by Mr. Foreman, we have a second by Mr. Kapora. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinen?
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, the second request for the property approximately 200 feet west of Morse, on the north side of 136th Place, Woodland Shores, outlots I and J. Request is preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision. Mr. Oliphant's letter reflects some waivers. Would anybody like to make a motion that reflects some of the discussions we've had regarding 1A, 1D?
I again would like to make a motion for the approval of the preliminary plat for one-lot subdivision based on Don Oliphant's letter dated June 10th, 2022 from Christian Burke Engineering, particularly scratching, I believe, the item 1A. Is that the correct way to say it, Donald?
Yes.
Say denial of waivers 1A and 1B.
Denial of the 1A to be addressed by homeowner at a later date, as well as item 1D, requiring the sidewalks.
Okay, to be addressed by the homeowner.
Or
in the
whomever in the future.
Well, prior to permitting.
Prior to permitting.
Prior to permitting, okay. Mr. Roshan, is that a good motion?
I think so.
Okay, all right. Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
No.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wolfgang?
Yes. Motion carries. I think that's, I think we're good, Mr. Peach.
Thank you. One quick follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
When I get the plat changes made and I turn it in to Chris, would this be like just the next informal meeting for you guys to sign off on it, or is it a formal meeting?
This is only preliminary plat.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but if you could get me that as soon as you can.
Within a week, I'll have it, 6 or 7 days.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then this will be on the town council agenda, next Tuesday for the rezone. All right? Can you turn that around now? No. All right. 2 weeks after next Tuesday.
So I don't miss the meeting again. Thank you. Thank you all very much.
These months are strange where we have odd weeks.
Well, it's 100 degrees outside, some of the people's brains aren't working, including mine.
This is true. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Item 5, ordinance 1418, amendment to the zoning ordinance. This is the humane pet store ordinance. Oh, sorry. Did I miss something, see?
Check up on the other.
That's why you're here, John. Sorry. Okay. Item 4, NYBY Developmental Corporation, preliminary plat for one-lot subdivision site plan. Owners, NYBY Developmental Corporation, 1370 Dune Meadows Drive, Porter, Indiana. Vicinity is 9710 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioners requesting preliminary plat for one-lot subdivision and site plan. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Tony Piquet with Chester Incorporated. I'm the general contractor for the project. I'm stepping in tonight as our engineer of record, Doug Holmeyer from McMahon, has been sidetracked on his way here. And I wanted to make sure that Mr. Oliphant is comfortable having me do this presentation, as this is the preliminary one-lot subdivision and site plan review, considering that Mr. Oliphant has spent significant time throughout the workshops, hopefully working with Doug to make sure that this is adequate. And in doing so tonight, I'd like to present what we've looked at, where we will be putting that 5,000 square foot approximately, one-story facility onto, it's 2 lots currently, and under the ordinance we'll combine that into 1 lot, and that is what we're looking to get accomplished here tonight, where it will be an automotive repair center.
Okay. Is anybody not familiar with this property? No, it's west of there.
West of
It's west of there, the apartments,
Scooters.
the apartments where the drive goes in by the,
Just west of Scooter Shooters.
Scooter Shooters. Yep.
Burned off on the map.
Mr. Chairman, what is it zoned today?
B3.
Thank you.
If that's not correct, somebody let me know, but I believe it's B3.
It is B3.
I thought it was. I just wanted to make sure for the record.
And in all the presentations, I think they've discussed the hours of operation, not following a B3 arrangement, which is 24 hours.
Did it pass the BZA yet?
It had passed several of the BZA requirements, not unanimously, however, it did pass it. There's still one more item.
There is one contingent item, correct, which is
Hang on,
the...
it's not contingent, it's another BZA item.
Correct.
Okay, all right, so the 3 approvals that were given are done. There's still one more approval.
Mhm.
But
So-
those approvals, I don't think, have they been to the town council yet? So are we putting the cart in front of the horse, Mr. Austin?
I think so, they're developmental variants,
They're developmental
if I
variants.
recall.
Yes.
Have they been voted on in the council meeting yet? I don't recall.
They won't be, they're developmental
Oh, you
variants.
know. Oh, okay.
BZA has jurisdiction over development.
I got you, sorry.
And the fourth one that'll be on the July BZA meeting is also a developmental variance that will not come to the town council.
So none of those go there, all developmental?
That's for building size, correct?
Lot size.
Lot size.
You mean lot coverage?
Lot size.
Lot
Size, okay.
Lot size, the minimum required for B3 is 40,000 square feet, I have 23 and some change.
Yeah,
Lot going on in that space, John.
I didn't think I didn't realize that. That's right in the heart of town, that's a lot of, well, it's neither here nor there, but if it's been passed, it's made it through developmental variance, it's not for this board.
This is a blank piece of property, and, the gentleman at the podium, at the meeting, I'm going to say he had no desire to change anything or shrink anything. This is what we want.
Yikes.
And, that is, to me, that's not a hardship.
Okay.
I voted no on those items.
I see.
However, that's not the way I was told it went. So, with that said, Mr. Slatus, anything?
There was some last minute information submitted, a business plan, and I believe a cash flow summary even.
Yes,
It was just submitted to me recently, I don't think that's necessarily pertinent, and it was past the cutoff line, so if you,
Got it.
my apologies for not giving it to you, but
No, that's-
past the cutoff line.
It's past the deadline, I asked that it not be here. Deadlines are deadlines. What they presented, Mr. Foreman, was, pretty comprehensive. It was a nice plan. It's nice, looks like a nice building. I believe, this gentleman here from Chester Buildings, will put up something nice. However, this is a blank slate, and, I said what I said. Okay, Mr. Roshan, everything's good?
No, we need to check the legals. I don't think everything's there, but we're gonna check. So any action you take tonight should be contingent upon, reviewing confirmation that legal notices are proper.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Becker.
Can we even act on this without the BZA, going over the fourth? Contingent?
It would have to be,
Would have to be contingent.
Has to be contingent on the BZA.
On the fourth BZA variance item, correct. Three are already processed.
And you still have to check legals, correct?
For this primary plat application, yes,
So should we defer this?
that's your call.
It's not a bad idea.
I mean, to mention too, our May 27th letter is still outstanding, and we did get resubmittal today, this afternoon, but I didn't look at it yet.
Oh,
Those came in today for tonight's public hearing.
okay. Mr.
That
Becker,
answers your question.
I like your plan,
I'd like
Mr.
to make a
Becker.
motion to defer this to the next work session,
Before,
or just, are we working on it, or is it for approval?
hold the thought. You understand
I do
where
understand.
we're at with this?
Correct, I completely understand. I was just wondering if we could possibly host the public hearing piece of this, and then be able to...
We've done similar things in the past for something that's been drug out for
Yeah,
years.
I was just wondering if there
However,
are
this-
individuals
this
here.
is, yeah, this is not, I am going to, ask for remonstrance. However, I'm not going to suggest we close the public portion of this.
Okay, understood.
Okay, so if you'd have a seat real quick, or you have any comments regarding
appreciate
anything
that.
that was discussed?
No, I appreciate you doing it, thank you.
Okay, is there any remonstrance regarding this item? This is for the address 9710 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner's requesting a preliminary plat for one lot subdivision site plan. Is there anyone here for this item, for or against?
I just have a question.
Oh, sure, step right up to it. Name and address for the record, please.
Sure, we own Hanover Apartments, right
Oh,
behind.
okay. All right.
Is it unreasonable?
Name and address for the record.
Sorry, Elizabeth Luzzi,
Okay,
and
address
business
is,
address, 9714 West 133rd.
okay,
Is it unreasonable for us as a residential facility that would order up to a commercial repair shop and everything that goes with it, to ask for a visual barrier wall to be built in the back of the property line? I know they said they were gonna do all kinds of planting, but
yeah,
planting is difficult to maintain.
that's, I understand exactly what you're saying. Mr. Oliphant and I have discussed, some criteria for arborvitaes that are 6 feet tall and
Okay.
how far apart they are.
Okay,
And you're right, you do have to maintain it. This building will be way more than 6 feet tall, based on what conceptuals we've seen, and I'd like to consider those,
can
what
we
we
see
were.
it conceptually?
Sure. I'm not, you guys have that here?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Yeah.
As a note, the applicant has asked for a waiver of
So
screening on
the
that
building's
north
going
side,
to look just like this,
Okay.
but on the back, there will be just
because there's existing,
windows in the back.
There's a good-
And I have,
there's a-
I've got a
Hold on,
set,
hold on.
but this is the look around the building.
Okay.
And so there will be no doors or anything.
Here's the back of the building right here.
Oh, I see, okay. All right, that makes a
So,
difference, you're
yeah.
not
And-
driving.
Yeah,
No,
and
no.
the hard part is with the barrier and landscaping, it's kind of difficult
It's
in
one
that
or
space.
the other, yeah.
And we felt that the landscaping would provide the better of the two.
Yeah, considering you're not having, it's not a drive-through.
There will be no parking
Okay.
space. All the parking is in front of the building and
Yeah.
to the east side.
So it's actually going to be set back, so they're not.
You are correct.
Okay.
Yep.
That kind of answers my question.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
There was some other discussion while you've been talking. Mr. Oliphant had just shared with me that the petitioner has also requested a waiver of screening on the north side of the building.
for two reasons. Yeah, there's already a berm back there on your parcel that
Yeah.
has some foliage. It's
Yeah.
not completely
Not completely.
solid, I guess
right.
I would call that. And there's also a ton of utilities back there. So there's the caveat of you put a fence up, there's literally a water main, a sanitary main, a telephone line. Yeah.
With the-
And this, hang on, this is running east and west along the north property line, which is exactly why I was not in favor of this at the BZA.
Okay.
There's a lot going on the north side of that property.
There's a lot.
So now we're squeezing something in a space that is,
The building's approximately, it says 17.7 feet off the northern boundaries. Is there any lighting on that side? I
No,
believe there is there?
no, I don't think so.
no lighting in the back of the building?
Yeah, if anything, there's one wall pack,
I
but I don't think so.
I'm not sure waiving, any, screening on the north side of the building. I didn't know that till Don just said that. I'm not,
We would be fine. I mean, if you want us to put screening up, we would be very happy to put it up. I mean, that's not something that we would be opposed to at all.
how much space do they have, Don, to create a berm and put a wall of greenery up?
Well,
I mean, like I said, it's 17 feet from the rear of the building to the north property line. Within that
That's
space,
not much
there's
space.
a 10-foot utility easement from the rear to the south, so now there's a 7-foot gap between the building and utility easement.
Okay. So a berm with arborvitae is probably not gonna.
I don't know if you want to put that much fill, I mean, it's public utility back there too, there's a water main back there, it would go right over the top of it.
All right, a berm on our water lines.
No, this is an old water main too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
we
the.
don't want anybody vibrating around back
That's
there.
a disheartening thing, you know, a building that, A, having us be a town that has B3 stuck in the middle of town is crazy. B, having, you know, that size building there, these people are probably gonna be great, they're probably gonna do a super job, they'll keep it clean, but forever and ever and ever, is what it is. So, that's the challenge. Right in the heart of town, we're trying to fix up, make it look beautiful after all these years. It's challenging. B3 really belongs in commercial industrial, but it's already zoned, and once something is, got the zoning, we can't just go change it nilly-willy, so it is what it is. I didn't realize that, it already passed the
This is-
BCA.
Well, three things did, yeah.
Yeah.
I say this once in a while, I agree with Mr. Foreman. I do think some, don't be crazy.
I love it. Maybe we're making progress.
Hey, listen, I put that on the record. Don't tattoo it on your wrist, Jack.
That's good stuff.
Most of the time I don't, but, I think waiving screening is probably not something I'm real warm and fuzzy about. And since we are here for the site plan approval, that probably needs to be certainly addressed. So you don't like a berm, trees on top of the water line? Okay.
I would say if you're doing it, put a fence up. At least it's something we can take down.
Yeah.
If we have to get access to anything, obviously you're gonna have to watch if they put their posts, but
We won't have to dig any deeper.
Well,
yeah.
this would
Terrifying.
certainly be better than a tennis court being on top
Or
of the
do,
water line.
or do we wanna,
What are you laughing
do we
about?
have enough room on that
That's not
easement, Don? Do we have enough room today on that easement? So,
Yeah, it's actually being expanded. I think the existing easement's actually 7.5 feet.
Okay.
They're adding an extra, 2.5, and the water main's on the north part of that, so it's not even a center line. There should be plenty of room there for it.
okay.
They did give.
I just hate
they
like
did give-
the taxpayers have to pay for taking down a fence, putting up a fence.
I mean, that would be on the owner, if we ever need access to it.
For an easement.
This water line here looks like it's way on the north side, I see it.
It runs up to the water tank.
Okay. So regarding the remonstrance and the north property line, does anybody have any questions for the remonstrator regarding the north property? Questions for screening, barriers, et cetera?
I mean, I would say it's gonna be a 6-foot opaque fence.
Yeah, we'll work with them.
Yeah.
I think that that's fair.
Yeah, we'll
And I
have
mean,
to add it
it's,
to the plan.
it's gonna have to be some sort of a work in progress as we evaluate and get final locates.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if we call out there and we find something just a little bit out, we'll work with you, Drag.
You don't think what's on here is accurate?
It's gonna be pretty close, but 2 feet one way or the other makes a difference.
Don, can you zoom in on that property
That's as far as you get.
as far as I get?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, the water main actually wraps around their parcel. I think there's an actual extension that goes out to 133rd, I think it goes west as well.
Looks like it, utility easement on the west side of the property, and trees on top of it also.
Yep.
Making it worse doesn't seem smart.
Those are the remonstrance trees. Those are your trees.
Yeah,
It's a private right of way, or it's an extension of their property.
but those can go if they need it.
Yeah, no, I don't think I think everybody's fine with that.
Okay. So regarding item 4, the one lot subdivision and site plan. Mr. Austin, anything else? Mr. Slatus? Good? Don?
No, we'll work with the applicant engineer and try to get the issues on the letter addressed.
Okay, this is another item that's not quite ready because there's a letter issues that have not been addressed. So, when did you receive the last submittal done?
Today.
Today, okay.
Which Doug Omeyer, their engineer, kind of let me know that was gonna come in late. His CAD technician was out all last week.
Okay.
So while he and I were talking, we knew it was gonna be tight. We did get photometrics from Chester actually, and that's all checked out, so it's just getting some of the site civil stuff worked out.
Okay, Mr. Becker, one more time.
Yeah, I'd like to defer this to the next meeting, continue the public hearing. What do you recommend?
Continue the public hearing.
Continue the public hearing.
Okay. Do you gentlemen understand
Yes,
the deferral process?
I do.
Okay. Do you have any concerns about this deferral? Okay. Okay, Mr. Becker has made a motion that we defer item 4, 9710 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake. Would anyone like to second it?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
When is it being deferred to?
July 20th?
Would you still like them on the July
Absolutely.
work session? Okay.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, before you take roll, can I ask a remonstrator something?
Sure.
What year did you build your apartment, sir?
It was built, I believe, in '73, but we did not build it.
I see.
My parents purchased it in
97.
'97.
Oh, okay. I was curious about that, that's all, thank you.
John Black, I think his name was.
Yeah, I was just curious how long that building's been there.
I'm sorry, when did you say it's deferred to?
July 20th.
That's the meeting. However, there will be a work session. What's the date for that?
2 weeks before.
July 6th?
6th is a Wednesday,
Yes.
7
July.
o'clock here.
7 o'clock here. So, Mr. Becker, would you like to defer this to, this is July 6th and the 20th?
For the public meeting, yes, July 20th. And I want it on the work session as well.
Okay.
Absolutely,
Okay. The motion,
continuing the public hearing.
On July 20th.
yep, continue the public hearing on July 20th. Okay, so we understand the motion?
Yes.
You good with the motion?
I'm good.
We have a motion by Mr. Becker. We have a second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkman?
Yes, motion carries. Okay. Thank you. All right. Yep, have a good night.
Thank you.
Item 5, ordinance 1418, amendment to the zoning ordinance for humane pets, the humane pet store ordinance. This was discussed a little bit 2 weeks ago. Mr. Oshin, legals are good?
Legals are good.
Legals are good. Building department comments?
I will just say, Councilwoman Julie Rivera was supposed to be here tonight. She texted me saying that she can't, but she was in support of this ordinance. As far as I go, no comment, yeah.
Okay. This was for pet stores that are providing products.
This is to combat puppy mills from coming into the businesses that otherwise sell puppies that come from puppy mills, to stop them from coming into the community through our zoning ordinance. Which Julie also made me aware of, that there is an instance nearby now of a pet store that says pet puppy mills, something to that extent, in Maryville, that came in just before they passed a similar ordinance.
Does Julie realize she can never have a puppy mill now?
I guess she's willing to take that risk.
I love it.
That wouldn't be a robot mill. That's a little different. Puppy mill. All right.
Jerry,
Yes, sir.
may I brief explanation?
Sure.
This is before you as a proposed amendment to the text of the town zoning ordinance. The process requires the town council in this instance to refer to you. He requests that a public hearing be conducted so that you can review the content for inclusion in the town zoning ordinance and set a recommendation to the town council. This is a town council decision. It will be received by the town council when you continue to attend the dialogue you'll have on this deliberation. You'll send a favorable or unfavorable or none to the council, and they will act on this by an ordinance. Amendment.
This is a little off the beaten path of what we usually see here. However, Julie Rivera evidently recognized this is a problem, and I don't think it hurts.
Mr. President, one more thing, and I'll defer to Bob for a little assistance here, but we had one night at council meeting, in the last 3 or 4 council meetings, maybe 5, an advocate in support of the legislation and proposed regulations to be established. And I think that individual lives over in Bob's ward. But there was, I'm sorry?
Thibodeau?
I don't remember the name, Bob.
Yeah.
But there was some strong advocacy requesting your consideration as the town council. So it didn't just come here kind of blindly. Councilmember Rivera sponsored it, and there were citizen residents advocating for it.
Well, we are living in a time where sometimes it's anything for $1. So, again, I don't think this will hurt to have on the books. Like I said, Julie evidently recognized the potential issue, and this is a good way to stay in front of it. So, would anyone like to make a motion on this item? 1418? Oh, yes, sorry. Are there any demonstrators who would like to comment for or against item 1418? This is for humane pets. This is the humane pet store ordinance. Any remonstrance for or against? Online, nobody there? Okay. All right, remonstrance is closed. Town engineer? No comments? Not your specialty?
No, sir.
You don't want a puppy?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, any commissioners have any other discussion or concerns?
No, sir.
Okay.
No.
All right, then I guess we need to, someone needs to make a motion, please, regarding a, for or against recommendation to the town council on ordinance 1418, humane pet store ordinance.
I'll make the motion that we send a favorable recommendation to the town council for ordinance number 1418.
The motion by Mr. Kapora. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Becker. Mr. Ashen, those are suffice?
Perfect.
Okay. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapora?
Yes.
Mr. Wolfman?
Yes, motion carries. All right, know where your puppies are coming from. Item 6 is the acceptance of an extension performance letter of credit for Beacon Point Unit 4. Do we have a petitioner on this item? No? Mr. Oliphant, what do you know about this?
This is an extension of the Unit 4, the central portion of Beacon Point.
Okay, this is Beacon Point on the west side of the tracks.
Yes.
Okay. Beacon Points don't have a point anymore, they're everywhere.
Beacon Central.
Beacon Central, yes, I agree. Okay, Mr. Ashen, do you have anything on this item?
No, this is ministerial, kind of checks off on the number and maintenance, it's ministerial.
So,
Do you know how long the extension is for? Should be for a year.
I'm sorry?
where's the document that says they applied for an extension? Or acceptance of an extension that was provided?
What, it was a year ago?
So the expiration date for this one is December 11th, 2020.
No, there.
2022, sorry.
Okay, December 11th.
I
Okay.
can tell you there's been a lot of confusion internally between Beacon Point 3 and 4, and there's so many Beacon Points that
There's no point.
there's a point, but
So this is, are you here on this item?
I'm not here on behalf of it, but
Okay.
I can speak to it.
So a year ago, they asked for an extension performance letter of credit,
Yeah.
okay?
So
And now we're-
it's my understanding that when a letter of credit gets within a certain timeline of expiring, it gets added to your update items. It's not an agenda item for you guys to take action on, it's just something that you guys have asked for staff to be aware of upcoming so that they don't expire.
Okay, 1 second. Ashley, for the record, make sure you got Jack Holmes commenting on this item.
Yeah.
So a year ago, they asked for an extension,
Correct.
and it was for how long?
I believe it was for a year. They just said that it expires in December of 2022.
That's the one we have in front of us right now.
Correct. And so no action on behalf of the developer is necessary until we get within a month of that deadline.
Ashley, yes?
Actually, Mr. Wolf, at the December 11th meeting, or the December Planning Commission meeting, they accepted an extension on the original letter of credit for 6 months, with the date being June 11th, 2022. I have the minutes in my office.
Okay, so but the letter of credit that was delivered,
there's the document here.
This one's extending it from June 11th, 2022 to December 11th, 2022.
And you have that
I
document?
guess I'm not
It's a
Okay.
6-month extension.
So you actually have an extension from the bank
Yeah.
for July through December?
Yeah, I think it picks up from June 11th to December 11th.
Yes.
It was dated June 11th, correct?
And so, the motion that this board passed was that
In December, it was for a 6-month
Was
extension
for a 6-month extension.
to
So-
June 11th.
So what we'd be voting on now is an extension to December, from now till December 11th, 2022.
Yes.
Sure.
Based on what documentation we have here.
Yeah, understand. And so typically, that would have been actually, at least my understanding in the past, is that update items are things that are on the horizon that we have to be aware of 2 to 3 months out, and then when they come to the point where they need your action, then they become an agenda item, and then I become aware of them. So I was not aware that this was actually expiring.
The list of update items has gotten so long.
It's been on the agenda for.
Because it should have, I mean,
Should have been prior.
It should have been last
Should have been last month.
Yeah.
On June 1st.
It was a full one.
Well, 'cause we had set a full date, but they didn't get us a.
so, so it is set a full date, so then you must have acted
Before the deadline.
But he got it in, yeah.
for another 6-month extension. If they gave you it, you got a full
The
date.
motion was made for a full date.
In May.
They get ahead, they
So, I
they get
guess
ahead of that full date.
what's the discussion about that? So they meant, huh?
Let's vote.
All right.
We have to learn from the
So,
back.
it seems as though that, we voted on, according to Don, his memory tells us, we voted on a full date. This letter showed up prior to that full date, so.
There's no poll.
So there's no
So, I guess that's what I'm confused. In the past,
An extension.
in the past, it's
Yeah.
not been something we've even talked about.
Okay.
They're approved.
Yep.
You're getting better.
Yeah, I think it's here because we have made a motion to pull, and now we just gotta get
I
some clarity
understand,
here.
but you approved the amount, and you said, if it's not here by a date, pull it.
Yeah,
You didn't say, bring it back to us and tell us that it's here.
yeah. See, there's 2 reasons why you're here, Jack. 3 reasons why you're here.
Transparency.
I understand, it's just, that's why the petitioner's not here, because it was an agenda item
I understand.
that they would feel that would be discussed.
It still has to be accepted though, Jerry, and it still needs to check off by the town council.
Yep. That's,
See,
That's all ministerial.
that's new.
yeah.
No, it's not. The town council.
We always check off on a credit, new, reduced, or
Otherwise,
At town council,
Yeah.
but it just happens, it's not
it's
something.
just an item that we say this was from
It's not something that comes here and says, hey, guys, we're doing this. At least it hasn't.
But we always, I think these letter of credit, or extensions always happen here. Go to the council, then we approve. That's normal.
without the petitioner.
And a lot of times, there may not be a petitioner.
All the time.
It comes into the building department, here's a letter of extension. It goes on the agenda, we vote on it, it goes to the council, we vote on it, it's just ministerial.
What I see right now is that because we voted on a full date, this has been put on the agenda to take care of it. And as someone said, as Dave said, full
It
transparency.
seems to me that there's no issue, because they just meet the requirements. and-
There is no issue.
Doesn't seem to be an issue, I needed the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Homework. Yeah, little discovery. Okay, does everyone understand, what I said?
He's right, not that it matters,
That's right.
but Jack, I think, we never did this till about a year ago where we put these on.
But when we made a motion to pull and a date,
Yeah, that's when,
that changes the,
Exactly what happened.
yeah.
which is okay, we go, just a few minutes. Okay, does anyone have any questions or concerns about item 6, and the acceptance of performance, the acceptance of an extension for the performance letter of credit for Beacon Point Unit 4? This is Beacon Point,
No, sir, not from my end.
okay. Mr. Foreman's good, Mr. Austin?
Recommend town council consider and approve.
Okay,
That's the motion.
okay. Ashley, good? Sly's good? Any commissioners? Anything else? Okay, would someone like to make a motion regarding the acceptance of an extension for the performance letter of credit for Beacon Point Unit 4? Got a motion by Mr. Becker, we have a second.
With the recommendation to the town council, right?
Yes.
Okay, second.
With a recommendation for acceptance to the town council, we got a motion by Mr. Becker, got a second by Mr. Foreman. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Capora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkins?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, Jack, for fielding some of that.
Whatever I did, right?
Thanks for slowing us down 5 minutes.
I don't know if that's a real compliment or not.
We do have,
Thanks for making the White House gonna be closed now.
we do have an update item that I don't think made the print here, but it is on the computer. We need to get caught up on the Perez property. This is over here by the dam and Lac Drive.
That is on yours.
It's item number 6
K&R.
under update items.
Oh, K&R Lakeview?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry, my mistake. Let's jump to that real quick. What is still missing from that item? The Mylars are here, from my understanding?
Yeah, so it was on my understanding that, I believe it was in the April or the May agenda, there was we were here for final plat approval, and there were 2 conditions to that approval. One of them was that the house needed to be demoed prior to the town signing the Mylars, and the house, the Perez's have moved, and they, prior to the middle of May, there was a demo permit pulled, and the house has been demoed. So that work is completed. Town has record of that. And then, as part of the motion, Don's letter for a letter of credit was recommended, and $44,030 and some change, I believe, was the number. And so what typically happens is that the petitioner goes and gets a letter of credit in that amount and submits that to the town, and that's reviewed by the town attorney. And he generally will say yes or no to that letter of credit, and then the Mylars are signed, and we pick them up and get it recorded. So that is where we sit at this point, I believe.
My understanding is that the Mylars are here.
They
I
are.
learned that this morning.
They are signed.
Huh?
They are signed by the petitioner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need a couple of signatures, so,
Yes, I believe you're the person who needs to sign that.
the 2 of us. What's missing here? What is not, where's, because there seems to be some confusion. What else needs to be done to get this project on track?
I don't think
I
anything.
don't think anything, other than accepting the letter of credit, which is in the amount of $4,430.25.
4,000 or 44,000?
4,000.
4,000.
That's correct. 4,400.
40, okay, so I thought somebody said 44,000.
Someone did say that.
Okay, all right.
4,400.
4,400, okay. So you're good with this letter of credit, or this performance?
For the amount, yeah.
Performance, the amount?
Yeah, he
Okay.
said it back in April. Mhm.
Okay. So, everything else is good?
Mr. Perez paid us 3% fee this afternoon.
Okay, all right. So everything's on track other than the Mylars being signed? Okay,
Which
Mr.
we would love
Austin?
to have.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was waiting on. It came up on my calendar about a week ago. We didn't see the letter of credit surety, and that's what we were looking for.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. The commissioners have any questions about this?
Nope.
No.
Okay. So, the acceptance of a letter of credit, performance letter of credit being $4,430.25. The 3%'s already been paid, so that's all that's outstanding on this item? Okay.
But again, we don't need to worry about it.
I don't think they're required
So,
to vote.
We don't need to vote.
I guess.
That's what I'm
So,
saying.
I was asked about getting this on the agenda, because there was a snag or confusion of some kind, and I wanted to make sure
Gotcha.
everybody got here,
Cross our
everybody was
eyes,
clear.
dot our I's, cross
I just wanted to make sure, because
Gotcha.
Chinese telephone, doesn't
Gotcha.
work for me. So, Mr. Rosh is good, Ashley's good, Mr. Slatus is good, Jack Hulls, are you good?
I'm maybe a little confused. So I would like to know, do you intend to sign the Mylars this evening so that I could take them with me for recording tomorrow?
Perhaps when the meeting's over, I could do that, yes.
Great, then I'm clear and I understand.
Okay, one more question.
If you said, no, there's something I still need to do, then I would say, what is that?
I wanna make sure,
We're on the same page.
too many people, too many cooks in the kitchen
Exactly.
sometimes. Yes.
I'll make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, too many phone calls and the like. So, okay. Jack says he's good. Commissioner's good?
Good.
Ray's good. Prez is good? Amen, amen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess, we don't need to vote on this item. Everybody's clear?
Have we, accepted the $4,400?
All that?
So I guess that's a point of clarification that I would like, so I know going forward. So when Don makes a recommendation on a letter of credit amount, and it's part of the motion for the final plat approval, so it's a contingency, the petitioner then delivers that letter of credit to the town,
And we're good to
and the
go.
town gives it to you to review, and you okay it. Does it need to come back to this board for approval?
No, we've never done that. We make the motion, we approve it, the letter goes to the engineer, it goes to the attorney, it gets put in the record, and they give a permit.
The last page of a letter of credit, a negotiable instrument, if you will, has signature block acceptance by the town,
By the town?
town council, you'll see that, I just looked at the last one we talked about. There's a signature here, not put on by us, but by the bank, because
Right.
it's the pattern of instrument drafting that we come to. And it's checked off on by Andy Niemeyer and Jennifer Cameron.
But if we don't come back here though, Mr.
It doesn't
Austin.
come back to you.
Right, that's what I mean.
You move it on with a recommendation, and absent something wildly being wrong, it's gonna be accepted and deposited into the safe, and
Right.
here we are.
Right.
If we make the motion at the plan commission, then it goes, the letter of credit comes in, engineer checks off, legal checks off, the administrative folks behind the wall send it to the council for approval, and we're done.
So,
And I don't even think on the other side of the wall, they don't have it.
They just send it to you.
It's a legal document.
I guess in this case, so I was concerned that, they delivered the letter of credit, you've approved it. If we weren't here tonight talking about this matter, then we would have to wait until July.
Potentially, yeah, potentially, but I don't remember not seeing it.
Well,
Right, but if
This
you're
letter- this
asking
letter-
them to approve it,
No,
then
he's
we would
not.
have to wait until
No,
July.
he's talking council.
Yeah, it's going to the council.
Okay,
this thing is dated June 14th, which was yesterday, right?
yeah.
So,
But it was here in draft form, prior to that.
It'll be on an agenda Tuesday night, won't it, Chris?
Okay.
Again, this is a quirky month,
The reason
because we
why
have opposite
it's,
weeks for
this
Yeah.
has been a little confusing.
things getting approved
related to
or
this.
delayed now, because we're
We want to
cataloguing.
get the process right, because we have other clients, we want to make sure we're giving proper recommendations to them.
the goal
That's
for the goal for them to be here tonight, Chris, actually was exactly for what? To make sure this letter of credit was,
Didn't have it.
Yeah, we can have it.
well, that's what I think the problem was, they didn't have it.
That's what spurred it.
Yeah, that's what I
I just assumed it was because our council meeting.
Well, when I got a phone call the other day about this, I'm like, oh, well, we need to figure this out. The presidents, I asked for them to be here, I asked for Jack to be here, let's get it figured out. If there's any other pieces to this puzzle that are missing, let's get it done.
For sure.
So, let's just go with the formality,
Yeah, I mean, if you want
We'll,
to have the recommendations of formality, that would be
Yep.
great.
No, we don't even need it, we're done.
we discussed it, it's here, let's do it.
Well, you need to amend your agenda then, to add it in.
Yeah, you're gonna have to add it as an agenda.
It's on the agenda. It's an update item.
Granted.
Okay, yes, Ashley?
Just for a point of clarification, for the duration while I'm working with Mr. Philatus on making the agenda, so when the next performance letter of credit comes in, I just send it off to Don and Mr. Oshid for review,
Yes.
and then it goes to Chris on to the
Yeah.
town council, and then not to the plan commission for a recommendation, just for my clarity.
Yeah, we already approved it.
Okay.
I agree with you, but our conversation was because you didn't have it.
They were working on it with the.
They were working on it, and we were trying to keep things moving along.
Gotcha.
So I said, just ask them to be here so we can
It's okay.
we can,
So good?
get the windows clean.
So, yeah.
Fair, good.
All right. All right, so Mr. Auction, we don't need to vote on this.
No.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Perez.
Yeah, we will see you around.
There are no more pieces to the puzzle. We can move on to, building regulations and fee amendments. Is that still, thank you.
Still being worked on.
That's still being worked on? Okay, next item is, the Melody Hill Marina. Is there, does anybody here like to speak on that item real quick? I know that there's been, some attempts to, have a powwow. Now's a good time too. Name and address for the record, please.
Natalie Samara and Caroline Samara. We are also owners of Melody Hill, and for the record, the name is incorrect. There's no S on Hills. And just so you all know, the reason for Melody Hills, because there used to be a piano in the Hill Tavern, and there's a hill, so that's why it's Melody Hill. So we hadn't changed the name, but anyway.
And they play melodies?
Yeah, they played melodies on the
I
piano.
get it, I never knew that.
Yeah, that's
We,
why it's called Melody Hill.
There's only a few of us in this room would be of tenure too.
Yeah, before my time, Bob,
Remember that.
Bob's one of them. Bob played piano.
Bob used to play the piano.
And his roller played the piano. Bob roller skated up the hill both ways.
Did you ever listen to the piano?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, now we're getting
And we
somewhere.
remember Bob and the roller rink, so that's.
Oh,
That's when
yeah.
Bob drank beer.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just here to answer questions.
I think what we had discussed last meeting with, I believe, another one of your sisters,
Yes.
was regarding the future business plan, the developmental standards, the things that you're going to do. Jill Murr had alluded to that there was going to be some modifications in the very near future. This has been a full swing, two businesses on one piece of property kind of arrangement, and we have nothing from you regarding new plans. Ralph Miller had mentioned maybe a future restaurant.
Yes, I submitted it.
Somewhere there, yeah. That's really all we have in the folder for the Melody Hill Marina, as it's been referred to.
Okay.
So what we'd like to do, I believe, was Mr. Osh's recommendation that your very soon future plans be shared with us so we can get this new old business, two businesses on one piece of property dialed in, parking, layouts, all those developmental standards that are required.
Okay, just so you know, new old business, right now, the two businesses, it's always been that way. I mean, when I say always, okay, so you already know that our parents bought it in 1954. At that time, it still was two businesses. It's the resort, and we didn't change the name. It's Melody Hill and the Tavern.
But the resort was diminished in capacity, I believe, in the early 90s. The sewer taps were removed. I think as the cottages, cabins had debilitated, those were all taken down.
We took down 8 houses. Some were...
Eight houses.
Yeah, we took down 8 houses. We had some year-round and some summer cottages.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a total of 8 houses that we have removed.
So the resort part of this has become a residential property, a Melody Hill bar,
But it,
and a Melody Hill Marina.
okay.
The new sign says Marina. Mr. Oshin has a pile of documentation over the last how many years. We're quite certain that this is in some violation of developmental standards as far as two businesses on one piece of property and no improvements. Your DNR permit has a spot on there that says something about this permit does not exempt you from local approvals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So right now, the DNR permit, the first one, the second one, maybe the third one, are kind of void at this point. Mr. Austin has any other bits and pieces of this, please share. I'm not sure. We're here to debate this at this point.
Hey, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, so just for all the commissioners, So I emailed Michelle. She got back to me. Hi, John, please see the new and old zoning maps for that area below. Because I had asked her, I said, how did we change the zoning? We can't change zoning. And she said, no, we can't. So here's what she says. The new map lists the property as MZ, which is multi-zoned. And I think that became a term in our new ordinance, which would reflect RS and V2 listed on the old map. Does that make sense? So nothing has changed in their zoning since the 50s, just so you know. Resort and B2 is what it always was, okay?
Okay.
So, again, we are a commission. We have a bar that's been there since the 50s. They built up here on the water, which we don't control. Again, I think and I feel us, when we decide to build a new restaurant, make it official parking spots, etc., I think we as a commission then get involved. This is a business that's been there forever. If we go down this road, we've got marinas on the lake that don't have pavement, that don't have parking designated, and don't have a site plan. I think we need to focus on new industry, new business as a commission. And we can all agree to disagree or not. But for things like this to sometimes appear on this commission seems bizarre, only from the standpoint of this, in this case, this was on the lake, okay? In 1990 or something is what, Chris, thank you for saying all that information to the council on the history. So for us in 1922, or 2022, to be sitting there talking about things that happened in 1990, when all of this 175-foot pier or whatever it is, I can't remember, is on the lake, even though it may irritate and, you know, some people have heartburn, its own resort, God bless them for being entrepreneurial. You know, if the clientele changes, if they decide to do something, they come before the board, they're tearing down a place, they're putting up parking, they're gonna do this, that, and another, so be it. They're not building a structure down there to house things, from my opinion. So I just feel like, well, as a commission, we don't need to be wasting breath on it.
I guess I have to ask, has this been discussed in an executive session?
I have not been a part of that. I missed the last meeting. Jerry?
This particular thing, not because I know what happened in executive session.
Okay.
I do know what some of the other elected officials have shared with me.
Okay.
This is a marina. Now, it's not a resort. It's a marina. Full-blown
What's the
new
difference
business
between
on a property.
is Pinecrest a marina?
Yes,
What's it zoned?
I don't know what it's zoned, but it's a marina.
But that, we
But
need
it's
to know
it's
that.
grandfathered in.
Is North
It's grandfathered in as a resort. If they have campers and tents on the hill,
Yeah.
it's a resort.
But if it's zoned, Jerry, if a property is zoned.
Zoning doesn't matter, you still need, if you're running two businesses on one piece of property,
Yeah.
you still need approval
But
for
it's the
that.
same business. That's
It's not the same business, you got a bar, and you got a home, and now you got a marina, that's three
Is the
businesses.
marina different from all the other establishments that are doing the same thing on the lake?
According to Mr. Niemeyer, Mr. Oshin is,
Well,
that's
we
why
are the
this is,
commission,
that's why,
we are the commissioner.
you're right, and your reference to let the people on the other side of the wall take care of this, is
Yeah.
the reason we're here now, is because it hasn't been dealt with.
Got a question.
Yes, sir.
I got a question. Now, is there a public bathroom for that marina?
No,
There's no marina.
no, yeah, okay, could I, explain,
The
yes.
sign says it's a marina.
Could I explain
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
something?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, you got
Why
it.
the marina came up, okay? The reason, okay, we did extend our pier. The pier we have is 350 feet. My parents in 1954, when they bought it, it was 350 feet. They did not change it. And in fact, maybe it was back in the 90s, I don't know what happened. My dad told me to write a letter to the DNR because they said that, you know, they were talking about the piers, that they should be gone. They tried to do away with it. He asked me to write a letter to the DNR, you know, stating that when they bought it, it was there, and they had pictures. The DNR said they agreed, it was there when they bought it in 1954. So they said, your pier could remain, no problem, which It's always been there. It hasn't been removed. We asked for fingers off the pier, okay? So yes, we did. When I went and applied for the fingers off the pier, the state is the one that said, because we always called it a resort. We had fishing on the pier, we rented out boats. That's never changed. We've never changed it since our parents bought it, and the people who we already know who bought it, they bought it from them. We have their names too. It's never changed until, I don't know how many years. I mean, 68 years for us, but I don't know even then. Nothing has changed. We added more, yes. We are now requiring people to have boat lifts because our pier is older, and over the years it just keeps hitting and hitting. So we said, hey, everyone is required to have boat lifts. Yes, we do have the fingers, so it's easier for them to crank up the boat lifts. That is different. The DNR said they changed the name of it. They said, you're a marina only because you have a resort. There were like 3 different signatures. But they said that the town of Cedar Lake would still call it a resort. The state would consider it a marina. Why? There were like 3 things they told me. They asked me these questions. Do you rent out boats? Yes. Do you, I don't know, maybe it was like cottages? Yes. Do you have the pier is it a commercial pier? Yes. So they're the ones who said the state has a different name for it. That's the only reason it says marina, because they called it a marina.
Well, the new sign says marina. Mr. Austin, is there just cause for them to be here based on documentation? And a home and 2 businesses on one piece of property?
At least from my review of the town records that I was provided, and I asked for those records many, many times based on inquiries that were made of me. I have no independent skin in this. I was looking for the information that would permit me to answer the questions I was being asked. It is my impression that there is a change of use and/or an increase in the intensity of the use, some combination of that. So the answer to your question is that's, I think, how I got involved in what I was looking at and whether there are changes or not. Now, I don't think any of us, there's not a person in this room doesn't drive by Natalie's place half a dozen times a week, maybe, more for some of us, and note the difference in intensity of use, minimally, and with the additional boats, fingers, the additional pier sections, there's more traffic.
I'm just curious. Were you here in the 60s?
Of course I was, just like you.
Were you really? Great.
At Holiday School, just like you.
Me too. Okay. I'm telling you, summertime, actually, you know what, as of many, many things, even Cedar Lake too. When my parents bought it, it was a totally different, and then it went downhill. I mean, we all know Cedar Lake really went downhill. And now, I'm laughing. I've got a smile on my face when people from Crown Point say to me, they'll call up and say, oh, if I could only afford to live in Cedar Lake. So, for those who went to Crown Point High School, you can smile at that and just say, oh, thank you, God. So Cedar Lake went down. I mean, it was up when my parents bought it, and then it went down completely, and then now it's like, wow, people really want to move to Cedar Lake. The same thing with our resort. Our resort, when we were kids, it was packed because we had all these people from Chicago. Yeah, you can say, okay, we have a lot of people. But in the 60s, when we were little, oh my gosh, that place was we had so many people you know, camping and, fishing, boating, it was unbelievable. And then, well, we all grew up and our parents started getting older, and financially, if you know anything about what happens when your neighbor builds these condos, your taxes just go up. So when our parents had, you know, our property taxes were like $2,500 a year, and then all of a sudden go up to $20,000 a year, what's going to happen? You know, all of us were trying to pull in together, and financially, it was like, what is going on? So we're trying to make it. Now, Caroline, Marie, and I, we're all trying to make it better again. So it was up, it went all the way down, and now the three of us, so if you're saying, well, we can all say that it's doing better, and we could say the same thing with Cedar Lake. It's doing better. Yeah, we're trying, we're really, really trying, but we did tear down 8 houses, so that's something, you know, yeah, we did a lot.
You're not renting any overnight spaces anymore. You don't have a public bathroom. The reference to resort, for me is gone.
You come tomorrow, and I will show you our house well, we have a couple of houses that we're renting out. That is not true.
Okay.
Come look.
Mr. Chairman, earlier in the meeting, you said, hey, I agree with you. I think I said something about, boy, it's zone B3. For some reason, our crazy town gave it that zoning for B3, you know, next to Scooter Shooters. And I don't know why, I think it needs to belong on whatever. Well, it's zoned the way it's zoned, and that's no different. And I understand that she put the sign that says Marina. If I have a service station and all of a sudden I call it auto repair shop, but it's under the same ownership with the same zoning, it is what it is. So I just don't like to nitpick our existing businesses that are trying to survive, A, and B, you know, it's kind of none of our business, in my opinion, because it's not a new building, they're not doing, you know, anything different, except they got some more customers. Now, granted, the parking's inadequate, okay? And it was in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. But days when no one showed up, it's not inadequate, and it's zoned, and the business has been in their family. So I don't like screwing with existing people and business owners. We need more people to be entrepreneurial. These business owners donate a lot back to our communities. I just think, and we have an attorney, and that's his opinion. That's why we have a publicly nominated town council and a publicly nominated board, or, you know, appointed board or whatever, up here. And so I just think, while we may not like some things, we have to agree to disagree from time to time and look out for the big picture and that sort of thing. And
My question is what they're doing at that marina / resort, is that covered under the B3 zoning? What they're doing there can be done in the B3 zoning, right?
Well, actually, you have to look farther back than our current zoning. You have to look at the regulations that were in place when the use commenced and how the use was maintained over the years. That's called legal non-conforming. If it does not exactly comply with the zoning district classification or regulation, and if there's been a deviation, but there's been a continuity of use, and that's really what this question's about. Continuity of use permits the continued use legally. I think, John, to your point about things, things have changed. And one of the things that I was asked by town administrators, not you, was what happens if there's an emergency in that property? What if something occurs that requires access to public safety? And that begged a couple of other questions and a couple of other questions. And when you plan, when you review applications that come before you, zone changes, as we had tonight, the parcel next to Scooter Shooters, those folks are looking for your approval for their use, their proposed use. If you give it to them with variance, that's the law of the land. That'll be the way the parcel's used going forward until or unless it changes by way of change of use. So there's a mixture of things here. Your inclusion at the last meeting for Chris and his team to contact the Samara family and meet and become acquainted and learn what the new uses are, or new plans, or perhaps expanded plans, or whatever they are, makes a lot of sense. That's connecting with our business community. And that's how I thought you were leaving, so that...
Well, that's what I thought too, Mr. Rush.
I didn't think there was to be, a public debate over this tonight.
Yeah, well,
I just thought they'd be fine. I'm totally confused because I don't know why she's here.
I don't either.
2 weeks ago, or whatever it was, she was asked, or whoever was here
My
from,
sister.
with your sister, someone was supposed to give her a list of compliances that they're not in compliance with.
yes.
Have you received that list?
No.
Nor have I. So I can't sit up here and discuss with her or with you and you and you if I don't know what we're discussing.
What
So
seems like,
I don't think we should pursue this anymore until somebody comes up with where they're not in compliance, number one, and number two, if this is the proper commission to be at, fine. If it's not, then let's give her what she's out of compliance with and send her to the right commission or board. Because we're talking in circles here.
I kind of agree with John Foreman that you've got this business, and then what are we gonna do? Look at other businesses in town that have expanded, that don't have parking lots, and...
the use as a resort had been diminished. Sewer taps were removed, all that stuff, apparently.
But that was cottages that they rented, and...
Well, there you go. Now, if you're not renting cottages, then how is it a resort?
Yes, it is. Yes, we are. That's why I'm inviting you. Can you come tomorrow and I will
No,
show you?
I have a real job that I have to go to.
Oh.
This is just kind of a
Sorry.
twisted hobby.
Well, you need- Okay.
I know what's there. I'm quite familiar from land in my seat. The instructions, the staff was to get you guys what we believe needs to be dealt with. Mr. Miller, Ralph Miller spoke on your behalf. I believe your sister was in agreement with him. He said they're more than happy to work with the town and get all these details sorted out, ironed out. So, as Mr. Kapoor said, we're just debating the validity of the pursuance of clarity here. Obviously, there's enough people think it needs to be discussed, and there's enough documentation and history to warrant that. So, I would, based on the emails I've seen, I would ask that you get together with these three ladies and get it kind of nailed down.
It brought to my attention.
Huh?
It brought to my attention about the bathrooms.
No, I understand.
Some people say, well, if the adults just go to the hill. What about kids?
No, I understand.
Kids cannot go.
This is a pier on the water, business that's been there.
We have no jurisdiction over the water, John, in the dock, I
And that's my
understand.
opinion.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
However, the business part of this, we do have, and we need some clarity. If Mr. Austin hadn't had to chase this with a handful of other people for all this time, which has been going on way more than a year, for some reason we couldn't get this in. Well, at least a year. I was asking for any information. I was getting stonewalled. He was getting stonewalled. And what showed up was the concept of your maybe restaurant, that
That we were working on.
concept
Mhm.
on paper. Those look pretty cool. So, I'm not going to speak for you or your sister or Ralph Miller, but it seemed like we were on the right path, and now we're debating the validity of this again, and I don't think there's much to debate. So, if you guys would get them the documentation, get a meeting set up so you can discuss this, that'd be great.
But I think
Because
we
I
as a
wanna-
commission should take it off this plan commission, it doesn't belong here.
We do have 3 houses. We do have 3 that we rent out. That's why I was offering, I didn't,
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I
we
got
have, so it's not like we don't have houses that we rent out. Yes, we do.
What do you think, Rick? What's your opinion? You're quiet.
No, I don't know why, I'm like John, I don't know why we're here. Because I thought Chris was gonna look into it, he's been gone, and that's where it was left.
Yeah, I don't know how it ever made the plan commission. I didn't understand that.
There's a
We're
list,
not
there's a
code
list,
enforcement.
there's a list of things in town that have been, piling up as far as,
Yeah, sure.
as far as,
Parking lots that never got paved and so on and so forth. I get it.
yes, and none of that's personal either.
No, no.
If somebody stands at the podium and says they're gonna do something someday, we know someday is a long time.
Yeah.
For example. So anyhow, Natalie, if, you guys would get them the stuff, whatever they need, we need to discuss
May take a while.
how this
There's
is gonna,
a lot on the plate right now.
You got a lot on the plate.
yeah, well,
But you guys
There's-
stop
there's-
doing so many, amazing projects throughout the town, I would have more.
More time?
Yeah.
isn't he salary?
I-
He can work 16 hours a day, it's the same money, right?
Yeah, and Jerry, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but we are all equals up here. You're leading our meeting by state statute, that's how it is. So, all I'm saying is, none of us have the right to drive around and be code enforcement. Tell Chris, he's our town manager, he's running the town. Let's build our better community, but we got a leader leading us, right?
A very capable
They come
leader.
to us.
I
Come to us.
understand.
We don't need to
I
be looking
understand.
for stuff to come to us.
However, the unfinished file is
Yeah.
his finish, that he's not aware of. And this is one of those
This
unfinished
never made
files.
it to plan commission in the history of this subject until 3 weeks ago. Truthfully, I never saw it on there. I've been on plan commission for a dozen years.
And it's the right of anyone up here to ask about things like this.
Fair enough.
And I agree with John and, Rich, that I don't think it ought to be here.
Well, that's not what Mr. Sharp said. What Mr. Sharp said, it was left with them to get information from staff about what's,
I thought he just said something different just now.
that's not what I heard.
No, I said, the way I remember it 2 weeks ago was Chris was gonna get information, start working and communicate with the people here. Is that how you remember it, Chris, sort of?
That's how I remember it.
But he talked about it a little bit.
So,
And again,
I
2
didn't-
weeks ago
I
is
didn't-
when it got on the agenda, and I understand.
it's been an update item, it's been an update item for a long time.
Yeah.
For a while.
For a long time. Because there's too many questions, there's too much documentation, we need to get it dialed in. So, anyway, that's kind of where we're at, Natalie. So, I guess, stand by for the information. Anything you can send them, you know, any little things, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I can furnish another copy.
What is that a copy of?
What was presented from Mr. Ostrom.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Please come back anytime, please, ask staff any questions you have to ask. As Mr. Miller said, he's quite certain you guys wanna get this dialed in, get everything, the way it needs to be. Nobody wants to diminish your business there. We just need it, dialed in a little bit.
Okay.
So, okay, let's run through the rest of these, looks like performance and maintenance letters of credit. Larson Danielson People's Bank performance letter of credit expires August 9th. We have, any follow-up on that, Don?
Shouldn't be any issues, I think they're finishing up the concrete work now.
That's what I see. Rose Garden Estates, Unit 3, performance letter of credit expires August 22nd. Oh, you know.
Just like unit 1 and 2.
Rose Garden, right?
Rose Garden.
I've had-
I don't know how to say it.
I've had some residents, and this may not be the right agenda, Chris,
Why not?
the board, we've got people complaining, calling me, the builders aren't saying what they're doing, what they say what they're due, is there a way you guys can hold up permits from, so on and so forth. I don't know if you've had complaints, if you could get with the inspectors and check. I knew we didn't have a meeting coming up this week, I said I would bring it up to the town manager at the plan commission meeting on Wednesday. You need the person's name and address, I'll fill it in with you off the record. I don't need to spend time.
Yeah, 'cause I'd have to see the nature of their complaint. Some of the things, if it's a civil party issue between a property owner or a potential property owner and their builder, then there's
Right,
some things
I
you just
understand.
can't get involved in.
I totally understand. And that's my message back to them, and I just wanna let you know.
Since you brought this up, I had inquired also that before that place is all the way built out, I think we need to make sure that all the amenities they said they were gonna do are done, like way ahead of time. They've had plenty of time to build everything. I'm not sure they've had plenty of time to get all the water amenities in, parks, pool house, whatever they were gonna build there. Does anybody know the status on those?
I think it's under construction.
Is it 50%? Is it 20%?
Typically,
Is it 80%?
It hasn't
No, I
started.
meant the amenities.
The
not the
pool
build
house,
out.
as
Oh, I
part of the PUD, I think had to start, for like 75 building permits were set. It's definitely started. We reviewed plans last year. I don't know the completion of it.
Personally, I think it would be a horrible idea for them to get complete building homes and not have those amenities complete. and
Right
inspected
now-
and approved.
Right now, all
Because we know what'll happen.
3-unit letter of credits are active at full freight, which is probably pushing close to 9 million.
Okay.
So,
Well, staff has plenty of things to do. Building a water park or water amenities is probably not one of them. So everybody just maybe keep that in mind.
So, yeah, thank you, Chris.
You want to make sure. Let's see, Great Oaks, item 5. Yes, sir.
On the Road Garden Estates project, I am presently working on communications with Attorney Weezer related to the sewer reimbursement agreement that is in the development agreement portion of the PUD ordinance. I wanted to alert you to that. That's going on as we speak.
Okay. All right, item 5, Great Oak Storage, Lot 1, maintenance letter of credit expires September
Got some
4th.
questions on that.
Don,
it's truly
that's,
water related, that's the water loop. So,
okay.
Public Works has been informed to complete their final inspections to hopefully let that expire.
Is that the entrance to the storage where it comes across from the north?
I believe it is a small water main extension from the back of Fuel Fitness up to their parcel.
Okay, where that addition was put on, where you teed into it? Okay. Where it was real close to the sewer line, had to be 10 feet or 20 feet, whatever it was? Yeah, okay, all right. And that's, final inspection will take care of that?
That's on Public Works. They've been
Okay.
notified, I'll remind them again.
All right. I guess item 6 has already been discussed, so I apologize for jumping around. Does any commissioners have any questions or concerns? No?
No, sir.
Okay. Anybody in the public have any questions or concerns? No? All right. Then I'm going to call this meeting done, 9:04.